Hi, I'm Brother Dan, a Claretian missionary. I grew up here about a half an hour west of the shrine in the Beverly neighborhood of Chicago. And I didn't enter the Claretians till I was 50. I'm what's known as a late second career vocation. And I worked in the television and education industries before I joined the Claretians. Well, novenas help us to open ourselves to God in order to increase our faith and grow in the love of God and neighbor. They aid in inner healing, obtaining special graces, being transformed and growing in virtue and holiness. They bring us peace and joy regardless of the answer we've received to our petition. And I will throughout be looking at my notes because I'm a writer more than I'm an extemporaneous speaker. The theme is about strengthening our relationship with St. Jude and what he may be asking of us, knowing that he responds to our prayers in one way or another. As we ask St. Jude to intercede on our behalf for God's healing presence in our lives, he wants us to deepen our relationship with God. This happens when we try to understand what the gospel tells us of Jesus' promises to us, but what God also may be asking of us as Christians and Catholics. Well, first of all, it's an honor to be the first brother to be preaching at the shrine, and also I like to support and contribute to the stewardship of the Claretians and the stewardship of their St. Jude shrine. Not only have I always, as long as I can remember, had a devotion to St. Jude because of my mother. It was a natural progression to the fidelity of St. Jude for me, always because my mother prayed for hopeless cases. My mother was in the education industry for 50 years, and she was always praying for hopeless cases, and she believed it helped, and that was the important thing. All right, this is a very complex question, because it's a delicate answer sometimes for Catholics and non-Catholics. Praying to the saints and the Blessed Mother to intercede on our behalf with God connects us to a core belief of our Catholic faith, our communion with the living and the dead. The practice of praying through saints can be found in Christian writings from the 3rd century onward, so it's nothing new. Praying to them shows us that the saints intercede on our behalf before God, and it also demonstrates that our prayers on earth are united with their prayers in heaven. Well, that's an interesting one, because my first answer will be, please donate to the St. Jude League. The other is service. So God often asks us for service, to care for others. So as you are responding to prayers answered, think about who you can help. Well, I'm a Claretian missionary and we live in community. So I would say community living in the service of my congregation and service to the people. You know, that's what we're here for, and that's why we are here. So it's the camaraderie, though, of being with other Claretians in community. Where diocesan folks, they can either live alone or maybe with one other. So community is very important to Claretians. This is a very complex situation as well, that so many people face in their lives. I have so many friends and relatives who have abandoned practicing their faith. And frankly, they are not interested in me evangelizing them. They have told me so directly. So I have to try, through my example of living my life, I have to show them how important my faith is to me. It's kind of like Jesus with the people of Nazareth, who had no interest in being involved with Jesus during his time. And I have to hope that the things I might say or do may spark an interest, and then I can kind of help them understand if they are willing. It's a big issue with many practicing Catholics and their children who have fallen away from their faith. My very devout, and I'm going to call saintly, 90-year-old cousin, whom I think is the most holy and devout, has 7 children, and none of them, nor their families, have any connection to their religion. It baffles her, and she is forever praying. So I think that as she prays, she will need to be like St. Monica, who had to wait 30 years for praying for the conversion of her son, St. Augustine. It is always a difficult thing to know how to help others who need their faith from their help. I leave it to others, priests, in their evangelization and things at Mass.